Hi, hello, welcome to Roseman's Mandarin Garden. I'm Rosemont. In this episode, I'm beginning a series focusing on several basic principles of Chinese grammar. These rules are often the most distinct and confusing for English speakers. I've outlined 7 core principles. The topic prominent principle, the use of structural and aspect particles, adverbs with temporal meaning, preposed modifiers and postposed complements, word order principles from macro to micro, given to new and abstract to concrete, the 6 basic structural relationships in Chinese, measure words. These 7 principles aren't the only rules in Chinese, but they represent the areas where the language differs most from English and other European languages. The series will provide you with a clear, top-down framework, not just telling you how Chinese works, but why it works that way. Today, we'll discuss the first 2 principles. Before we dive in, let's look at some key linguistic terms for our study, word classes and syntactic functions. It's important to highlight that classical Chinese didn't originally have these rigid concepts. The essence of Chinese has always been meaning defined by context, the sense of a word determined by surroundings rather than being pre-classified. The conceptual analysis we'll use today follows a Western grammatical framework. This is the approach used by most modern textbooks because it's often easier for non-native learners to grasp in the early stages. Chinese shares basic word classes like nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, pronouns, prepositions, and conjunctions. However, without rigid boundaries, many Chinese words can function as different parts of speech, depending on their context and word order. 爱，我爱你，我爱你。爱是一种特殊的情感体验，爱是一种特殊的情感体验。极，真是愚蠢至极，真是愚蠢至极。极好，极好。Additionally, Chinese has 2 unique classes, particles and measure words. Particles carry no concrete meaning, but indicate structural relationships. Measure words, or classifiers, are placed between the member and the noun to specify its unit or category. There are 6 syntactic components in a Chinese sentence: subject, predicate, object, attributive, adverbial, and complement. The complement is quite different from its English counterparts. In English, a complement typically follows a linking verb to describe or identify the subject or object, as in the sentences, he is a teacher, he is a teacher, we voted him president, we voted him president. In Chinese, however, a complement appears after verb or adjective to provide supplementary information about the action or state, such as the result, degree, direction, potential, quantity, or condition. 她走得很快，她走得很快。她漂亮极了，她漂亮极了。What English considers adverbials are often split into adverbials and complements in Chinese. Distinguishing between these 2 is one of the most challenging aspects for learners. Now, let's officially introduce our first principle, topic prominent principle. As we've discussed, Chinese follows the basic subject-verb-object order, just like English. 我喜欢读书，我喜欢读书。在这里，我是主语，喜欢是谓语动词，读书是宾语。 However, while English is subject-driven, Chinese is topic-driven. What does this mean? In Chinese, we move the most important information, the topic, to the very beginning. By capturing the listener's attention first, the topic sets the stage for the rest of the narrative. A Chinese sentence can start with a topic that isn't necessarily the grammatical subject. It could be the object or even the time phrase, as long as it is the focus. This topic prominent structure is extremely common in spoken Chinese. 我买了书，我买了书，书我买了，书我买了。我吃了饭，我吃了饭，饭我吃了，饭我吃了。你穿那件衣服挺好看的，你穿那件衣服挺好看的，那件衣服你穿挺好看的，那件衣服你穿挺好看的，挺好看的，你穿那件衣服，挺好看的，你穿那件衣服。You might be wondering which sentence elements can be moved forward to function as a topic. In English, emphasis is often achieved through intonation or stress. For example, I went to the library yesterday. I went to the library yesterday. I went to the library yesterday. The stress changes depending on whether you want to emphasize the location or the time. In Chinese, emphasis is often created by changing the word order. The element you want to highlight is moved to the front at the topic. The information that can be fronted usually involve the who, what, when, where, and how of a sentence, often the core message of the conversation. This makes it easier to capture the listener's attention and aid comprehension. 小明昨天去图书馆了。小明昨天去图书馆了。老师们明天要开会。老师们明天要开会。考试下周就要开始了。考试下周就要开始了。这本书我还没看完。这本书我还没看完。As mentioned earlier, Chinese is a high context language. If certain information has already been established in the background, it is often omitted. When an object is fronted as a topic, it usually refers to something already known to both speaker and listener, and the modifiers are often removed. 书我买了，饭我吃了。It implies that both speakers know exactly which book or meal is being discussed. We rarely say, 一本书我买了，一本书我买了。This indefinite topic creates ambiguity in conversation and lacks any context and background information. However, it may occasionally appear in poetic or literary language. 明天我们要去郊游。明天我们要去郊游。去年我去过北京。去年我去过北京。在公园里，孩子们玩得很开心。在公园里，孩子们玩得很开心。在中国，你能参观众多名胜古迹。在中国，你能参观众多名胜古迹。慢慢的，他终于走到了山顶。慢慢的，他终于走到了山顶。通过努力，他取得了成功。通过努力，他取得了成功。真漂亮，这个地方。真漂亮，这个地方。Now, let's move on to the second principle. Structural and aspect particles are the two most important categories of functional words in Chinese. Structural particles clarify how words are related within the sentence, while aspect particles indicate the temporal state of an action, whether it is ongoing, completed, or experienced. The first one used to link attributive and is had, indicating possession or description. 蓝色的天空，蓝色的天空，我的家乡，我的家乡。The second one used to link adverbial and is had, indicating manner. 慢慢地走，慢慢地走。The last one used to link ahead and is complement, indicating degree, result, or possibility. 跳得很高，跳得很高。Structural particles function like grammatical markers or labels. They glue sentence elements together and signal their syntactic roles without carrying substantial meaning themselves. Consider this comprehensive example. 一位戴眼镜的女士静静地坐在角落里，看书看得入了迷。However, these structural particles are sometimes omitted in everyday speech. So when should they be kept and when can they be omitted? The full set of rules is rather complex and is listed in detail in the material. For now, you can remember one simple principle. Their core purpose is to avoid ambiguity. If omitting them does not cause ambiguity, they can often be dropped. In formal writing, they tend to be retained. In everyday speech, they are frequently omitted. Unlike English, which uses verb inflection to mark tense, Chinese relies mainly on time adverbs and aspect particles that appear after the verb or adjective. 这 It indicates an ongoing action or a persistent state. 看着电视，看着电视，吃着饭，吃着饭，洗着碗，洗着碗。灯亮着，灯亮着，门开着，门开着，墙上挂着照片，墙上挂着照片。了 It indicates the completion of an action. 他走了，他走了，他消失了，他消失了，他死了，他死了。过 It expresses experience that something has happened before. 他去过中国，他去过中国。我学过跳舞，我学过跳舞。他俩约会过，他俩约会过。It's important to note that the aspect particles cannot be directly equated with the present continuous, past tense, or present perfect in English. English conceptualizes time as the linear timeline with fixed reference points, past, present, and future. Verb forms change based on their position relative to the moment of speaking. Chinese, however, does not anchor aspect to the moment of speaking in the same way. Instead, aspect is referenced to the action or event itself. The reference point is the action's internal state, not the speaker's present moment. This may sound abstract, so let's clarify. 他回家了，他回家了，他刚刚回家了，他刚刚回家了，他昨天回家了，他昨天回家了，他上星期回家了，他上星期回家了，他明天就回家了，他明天就回家了，他听着音乐，他听着音乐。我去他家的时候，他正听着音乐。我去他家的时候，他正听着音乐。我跟他打招呼的时候，他正听着音乐。我跟他打招呼的时候，他正听着音乐。As for the experience particle, 过 the reference is always past experience, so it's rarely used for future time phrases. You can say, 他去过中国， 他去过中国。他去年去过中国。他去年去过中国。But you can't say 他明年去过中国。他明年去过中国。This is contradictory in meaning. It combines the experience particle with the future time adverb. Instead, say 他明年会来中国旅行。他明年会来中国旅行。他明年会完成一次中国之旅。他明年会完成一次中国之旅。When we examine both principles, the topic prominent structure and the use of aspect particles, we can observe a certain fluidity in how time and space are perceived. In English, the subject sits at the center of the information flow. All information is tied directly to it, fixing the observer's perspective in one position. In Chinese, however, the perspective can shift across different pieces of information. Wherever the topic goes, the perspective follows. Similarly, time is organized according to the flow of the action itself, rather than a fixed time system. Alright, that brings us to the end of this episode. Next time, we'll continue the other principles. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. You can also download the free study material. The link is in the description. Besides my online courses, I also offer one-on-one Mandarin lessons, so feel free to check out my website for more details. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Your support means a lot to me. See you next time. Bye. Bye.